Good morning. First, let me say thank you to John Henningham and all those associated with the JSchool for the honour bestowed on me today. I'm not much into gongs and awards usually, but this recognition from a journalism college that's fast making a mark is something I do value. I wish I could be there to receive it personally. An Honorary Doctorate of Journalism. Well, after 46 years in the craft, approaching the end of my journalistic career, it does make me feel just a bit proud. I'd virtually no training going into journalism apart from a pretty useless arts degree, so it's nice to have some acknowledgement that I've learned something on the way through. It strikes me that the doctors are usually on the other side, the anti-journalist, the spin doctors. Now at least I can match them when it comes to titles. One thing that both surprises and pleases me these days is that young people still want to go into journalism, ignoring all the gloom and doom about whether it has a future. Despite all the talk about the imminent demise of newspapers and the problems faced by once mighty TV networks, despite concern about the difficulty of finding a business model that will support quality journalism in the internet age, and despite claims that anyone who has a computer or an iPhone can be a journalist, intelligent and talented young people still believe there's a worthwhile career to be had in journalism. People like you, this year's group of graduates from the JSchool. And I think you're right. I've gone through periods when I've been quite pessimistic about the future of journalism, quality journalism anyway. I was pretty gloomy when the Bulletin magazine closed during the 2007-8 Christmas holidays after 128 years of publication. I'd written for it for 23 of those years. I was rather down too when the Nine Network's wonderful Sunday program was dumped after 28 years. But I've decided there's no need for pessimism, no point to it really. Life will go on and so will journalism. Journalism is going to change. It has changed already quite dramatically. The platforms will be different. There won't be readers and viewers and listeners, just users, and there'll be bloggers and tweeters and all sorts of other people doing journalism themselves in their own way. But the bottom line is that there will continue to be a need for people with the qualities we've always expected from good professional journalists. The ability to tell stories, for example, knowing how to get information, knowing what questions to ask, how to ask them, and who to ask them of. The knack of getting a bit of information here and a bit more there and connecting it all into a coherent and accurate whole. A healthy scepticism, the curiosity to dig things up and chase things down. And above all, what Graham Perkin, the legendary editor of the Melbourne Age, used to call intuitive ability. I describe it as having a nose. Now, I don't know whether you'll learn about this at the JSchool. To explain what I mean, let me give you a sneak preview from this tome. It's called On the Record, and it's about to appear in bookshops under my name. It'll be published on November the 1st. Now, this is not really a plug, it's just that this was quite important to me when I was a young journalist. I say on page 297, when I first started reporting politics, I read a book called Inside Parliament by a great political journalist, Warren Denning, written in 1946. One sentence in particular stayed in my mind. The man assigned to this work, and of course political journalists in those days were all men, the man assigned to this work has to be alive to every trace of abnormality, able to sense that things are going wrong, that something is out of tune, that somebody is up to something. And I wrote, the example Denning gave to illustrate this point concerned a night in 1931 when word got around Parliament House that Joe Lyons, a key figure in the Scullin Labor government, had booked a ticket on a train to Melbourne. It was a seemingly trifling fact, and some journalists shrugged their shoulders and went home to bed. Others, though, saw it as odd that Lyons would leave while the House was sitting. And they started digging. One rushed to the railway station himself, jumped on the train and got off at Yass with a cracker of a story. It was the beginning of Lyons' defection from the Labor Party, which saw him installed soon afterwards as a Conservative Prime Minister at the head of the United Australia Party. So let me repeat that advice of Denning's. A political journalist has to be alive to every trace of abnormality, able to sense that things are going wrong, that something is out of tune, that somebody is up to something. Those words, written nearly 65 years ago, are not only still true for political journalism, they're true, I think, for just about all journalism. Having a nose. It's a quality that I think sets good journalists apart and it's a quality that will continue to be needed no matter where the new media environment takes us. So I'm now fairly optimistic about the future of the craft that's treated me so well and that I found so exciting and satisfying and rewarding. And I'm not Robinson Crusoe. It's my sense that journalists overall now feel a lot more positive about their jobs and the future of the news business than they did just a couple of years ago. The thing we've got going for us is that people want news, and they're going to keep wanting news. It's important to them. That was shown by a survey conducted by the Media Alliance a few months ago. The Secretary of the Alliance, Christopher Warren, told a Future of Journalism conference in Sydney in August about the findings. According to Chris, the vast majority of the sample of 1,000 said they were interested in news and current affairs. The survey showed that people want news as a form of connectivity, a civic obligation, entertainment, in that order. Local news, what's really going on around them, was the most important thing they wanted. That was followed closely by national politics and international affairs. Entertainment and celebrity news, interestingly, came well down the list. Also, according to the survey, people appreciate how important journalism is for democracy. They feel overwhelmed by the amount of news happening around them, and they say they depend on the media to act as a watchdog to protect their interests. Now, I agree 1,000 is not a massive sample, but the findings are certainly encouraging. And I'm confident that creative and resourceful journalists will continue to be in demand, but they'll face challenges. Maintaining quality won't be easy. For a start, the increasing pace of what used to be called the news cycle, now better described as the news cyclone, a term coined by Time magazine, will inevitably have an effect on standards. It's happening already. 24-hour news channels, combined with tweeting and blogging and continuing technological advances and all the other growing pressures for real-time filing and instant analysis, mean that journalists will have less and less time to think or check facts or call on outside expertise. That inevitably means less accuracy in reporting, and it means shallower analysis. Handling this, trying to maintain standards in the face of this sort of pressure, is possibly your biggest challenge. The other major challenge will be maintaining an ethical framework and carrying important journalistic values into what will clearly be a much more anarchic media environment than the one we're used to. But it's also going to be an exciting media environment, an exciting time, I suspect, to be in the journalism trade. So good luck to the graduating class of 2010. And once again, I'm grateful to the JSchool for an honour I'm not sure I deserve, but which makes me feel pretty chuffed anyway. Thank you.